Respiration in organisms. All living organisms get energy from food. The food enters the cells in the form of tiny nutrients after passing through a long digestive system. The oxygen we breathe in enters the cells of the body and combines with food particles. This reaction of food and oxygen releases energy. The energy is used by us and other living organisms to carry out different activities. In other words, we can say that the stored energy in food is released during respiration. During this process, some waste products like carbon dioxide and water are released. The process of taking in oxygen, using it for energy release, and then eliminating the waste product is called respiration. The process of respiration can be represented as glucose or food plus oxygen gives carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. It seems a very simple reaction, but actually respiration is a complex process. Respiration is divided into two parts: breathing or external respiration, cellular or internal respiration. Breathing, the process of taking in oxygen-rich air into the lungs and giving out carbon dioxide-rich air, is called breathing or external respiration. The process of breathing occurs in two steps, that is, inhalation and exhalation. The taking in or inhaling of oxygen-rich air through nose is called inhalation or inspiration. The giving out or exhaling of carbon dioxide-rich air from the nose is called exhalation or expiration. Both inhalation and exhalation are continuous process through which our body exchange gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide. Here we can say that the external respiration occurs outside the cells. Mechanism of breathing. When we inhale air, the diaphragm moves downward towards the abdomen. The intercostal muscles present between the ribs and diaphragm contract and the ribs move up and push outwards. This process makes space in our chest cavity and the air flows through the nose or mouth into the lungs. In exhalation, the diaphragm moves upward and the chest muscles relax. The intercostal muscles relax and the ribs move down and inwards, opposite to inhalation. Due to this, the chest cavity reduces in size and air flows out from the lungs through the nose or mouth. Breathing rate. The number of times a person breathes in a minute is called breathing rate. A breath includes one inhalation and one exhalation. It means both inhalation and exhalation are involved in one breath. A healthy adult person breathes 12 to 20 times per minute. Breathing rate can be increased by running or by doing heavy physical exercises. Breathing rate of different age groups is average breathing rate of different age groups. Age, average breathing rate. Newborns 30 to 40, less than 1 year 30 to 40, 1 to 3 years 23 to 35, 3 to 6 years 20 to 30, 6 to 12 years 18 to 26, 12 to 17 years 12 to 20, adults over 18 12 to 20. Internal or cellular respiration. Cell is the smallest structural and functional unit of our body. The air we inhale is transported to each cell of the body. In the cell, the oxygen present in air breaks down food to release energy. This energy is utilized by body for various activities. Thus, the process of breakdown of food in the cells with the release of energy is called cellular respiration or internal respiration. Because cellular respiration occurs by utilizing oxygen, it is also called as aerobic respiration. The internal respiration occurs inside the cells. The hemoglobin present in the blood combines with oxygen from the air to form oxyhemoglobin in the alveoli. The oxygen-rich blood then flows to the heart and is pumped to all the cells of the body. In the cells, the oxygen carried by the blood combines with glucose molecules and produces energy. In this process, carbon dioxide and water are produced. The cellular respiration can be represented as glucose or food by using oxygen gives carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. Differences between breathing and respiration. Breathing, respiration. It is a physical process in which oxygen is taken in and carbon dioxide is given out. It is a chemical process in which glucose is oxidized and carbon dioxide is released. It occurs outside the cells, it occurs inside the cells. There is no release of energy. Energy is released. Enzymes are not involved in breathing process. Enzymes are involved in this process. Inspired and expired air. The air that we inhale is a mixture of gases. The most important of these gases are nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and water vapor. The air that we expire is not the same. Types of respiration. You have learned that oxygen is essential for the process of respiration. However, respiration also occurs without oxygen. On this basis, respiration in living organisms can be divided into two types: aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration. The respiration which occurs in presence of oxygen is called aerobic respiration. In normal conditions, aerobic respiration occurs in our body. Food gets completely oxidized and energy is released. Anaerobic respiration. When breakdown of food occurs without oxygen, it is called anaerobic respiration. In anaerobic respiration, incomplete oxidation of food occurs. Energy released is very less compared to aerobic respiration. The products formed are alcohol and carbon dioxide. Anaerobic respiration can be represented as food or glucose without oxygen gives alcohol plus carbon dioxide plus energy. Anaerobic respiration in muscles. Our muscles can also respire anaerobically, sometimes in the absence of temporary shortage of oxygen. The shortage of oxygen may occur during heavy exercises like running, cycling, and weightlifting when the body demands of oxygen is high and the supply is less. In this condition, anaerobic respiration occurs to complete that extra demand of energy. Glucose in the absence of oxygen in muscles gives lactic acid plus energy. In the reaction, glucose does not completely break down. As a result, lactic acid is produced by the hard work of muscles. When you are running, your body produces so much lactic acid that it cannot be removed by it from the muscles quickly. This lactic acid deposits in the cells and causes muscle cramps. In such condition, take a hot water bath or massage of muscles. The hot water bath or massage will increase the blood circulation in the muscles and more oxygen will enter the cells. The muscle cells now get filled up with oxygen, completely break down the lactic acid into carbon dioxide and water. Anaerobic respiration in yeast. When oxygen is not available, yeast can respire anaerobically, that is, without air or oxygen. Yeast gets more energy from aerobic respiration, but when it runs out of oxygen, it does not die. It continues to respire anaerobically, but it does not get so much energy from the sugar. Yeast produces alcohol when it respires anaerobically, and ultimately the alcohol kills the yeast. Differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration. It occurs in presence of oxygen. It takes place in absence of water. Glucose is completely oxidized, release energy, carbon dioxide and water. Glucose gets incompletely oxidized to release alcohol, carbon dioxide and energy. It releases more energy, it releases less energy. It occurs both in cytoplasm and mitochondria of the living cell. It occurs only in cytoplasm of the living cell. Its last product formed is water. Water is not formed. Respiratory system of human. Human respiratory system is made up of a number of organs. These are nasal cavity, larynx, trachea, bronchi and lungs. Nasal cavity. Air enters the nose through the nostrils and reaches the nasal cavity. As you inhale air, small particles of dust are trapped by many tiny hairs in your nose. The hairs stop the dirt from going further in your body. The nasal cavity is divided into a right and left passageway. The air is warmed and moistened in nasal cavity before it reaches the lungs. Air can also be taken in through the mouth. These two openings of the airway, the nasal cavity and the mouth, meet at the pharynx or throat, at the back of the nose and mouth. At the bottom of the pharynx, this pathway divides into two. One for food, the esophagus, which leads to the stomach, and the other one for air. Larynx. Air enters the larynx from the pharynx. The larynx or voice box is the uppermost part of the air pipe. The short tube contains a pair of vocal cords which vibrate to make sounds by being breathed in and out. The epiglottis, a small flap of tissue, covers the opening of the pharynx into the larynx. The epiglottis guards the entry of food and liquid into the lungs. Trachea. The trachea or windpipe, a soft muscular tube, extends downward from the base of the larynx. It is about 12 centimeters in length and 2.5 centimeters in diameter. It lies partly in the neck and partly in the chest cavity. The trachea is also lined with cilia, which sweep fluids and foreign particles out of the airway so that they stay out of the lungs. At its bottom end, trachea divides into two bronchi. Bronchi. The left and right air tubes are called bronchi, which connect to the lungs. Within the lungs, the bronchi branch into smaller bronchi and even smaller tubes called bronchioles. Bronchioles and in tiny air sacs called alveoli located in the lungs. Lungs. The lungs are 2 in number and about the size of footballs. They fill our chest from the neck to the ribs. The lungs are protected by our ribs. Each lung contains about 300 to 400 million alveoli. Alveoli are the site of actual gas exchange. These are richly supplied with blood. There is a very fine network of blood vessels surrounding each alveolus. The oxygen of the air in the alveoli passes easily through their thin walls into these blood vessels. The carbon dioxide transported by blood from all the body passes into the alveoli from the blood vessels. By exhalation, we expel carbon dioxide from our lungs. This whole process takes very less time. The lungs also contain elastic tissues that allow them to inflate and deflate without losing their shape. A thin membrane called the pleura encloses the lungs from the outside for protection. Some respiratory diseases. Our respiratory system is susceptible to a number of diseases, and the lungs are prone to a wide range of disorders by pollutants in the air. The most common problems of the respiratory system are flu. Flu or influenza is caused by a virus that travels through the air when an infected person coughs or sneezes. The flu virus infects our lungs and makes the whole body feel sick. It gives you a fever, cough and body ache. You should stay in bed and drink a lot of fluids. When you have the flu, cover your mouth while coughing or sneezing. Common cold. Common cold is caused by over 200 different types of viruses that cause inflammation in the upper respiratory tract. It is the most common respiratory infection. Its symptoms may be mild fever, cough, headache, runny nose, sneezing and sore throat. Usually the cold only lasts about 3 days. There is no cure for the cold, but you can try and prevent getting it by staying away from people who have cold. It is also important to take rest since our body needs all its energy to fight the viruses. Cough. A cough is a symptom of an illness. There are many different types of cough and many different causes. Some of the more common causes of cough are common cold, asthma, allergies and pneumonia. Among the most serious causes of cough are tuberculosis, TB and whooping cough. Pertussis. Pneumonia. It is an infection of the alveoli. It can be caused by many kinds of both bacteria and viruses. Fluids accumulate in the alveoli and reduce the space for air. If many alveoli are affected, the patient may need oxygen supply from outside. Asthma. In asthma, bronchi and bronchioles constrict in intervals and make it more difficult to breathe. Attacks of asthma can be triggered by air pollutants such as chemical fumes and cigarette smoke to which the patient is allergic. Emphysema. In emphysema, the delicate walls of the alveoli break down. This reduces the gas exchange area of the lungs. The condition develops slowly. The gradual loss of gas exchange forces the heart to pump more blood to the lungs to meet the body's needs. This can also lead to heart failure. Chronic bronchitis. In chronic bronchitis, the air passage becomes clogged with mucus, and this leads to persistent cough. Chronic bronchitis is usually associated with cigarette smoking. Lung cancer. Lung cancer occurs when damaged cells in the lungs grow out of control. These cells get bigger and bigger until they crowd out and kill the healthy cells in your lungs. This makes it very painful and difficult to breathe and usually causes death. Respiration in animals. In addition to humans, some animals also have lungs for the gas exchange. For example, most mammals like cats, dogs, horses, monkeys, apes, cows, etc. But all animals do not have lungs for respiration. Some animals carry out the gas exchange through the cell membrane, skin, air holes, and gills. Cell membrane as respiratory organ. In unicellular organisms such as amoeba and paramecium, oxygen diffuses into the cell through the cell membrane and carbon dioxide leaves the cell in the same way. Skin as respiratory organ. Some multicellular organisms like hydra, leeches, and earthworms breathe through their moist skin. The oxygen from the environment passes across the moist skin of earthworm and it is carried by the circulatory system to the cells. Similarly, carbon dioxide from the cells is carried by circulatory system and comes out through the moist skin. The earthworms will die if their skin dries out. Frogs use mainly lungs for respiration on land, but they can also respire through their moist skin while in water. Air holes as respiratory organs. Spiracles are tiny openings on the body surface of insects. These lead to trachea, which further branch into smaller tubes known as tracheoles. Trachea are the tubes that carry air directly to cells for gas exchange. Each segment of the abdomen has a pair of spiracles. The trachea play a vital role in the transport of respiratory gases in insects. Hence, respiratory system in insects is also called tracheal system. Gills as respiratory organs. Fish and tadpoles have gills as respiratory organs. Gills have filaments which are like the teeth of our hair comb. These filaments are full of small capillaries carrying blood. Water enters through the mouth and flows over the gills. The dissolved oxygen in the water enters the capillaries and the carbon dioxide from the capillaries passes out into the water. Respiration in plants. Plants carry gas exchange by almost all of their body organs, such as leaves, roots, stem, fruits, and flowers. Respiration by leaves. Most of the surface of the leaf is covered with a waterproof coating or cuticle. The cuticle is perforated with small structures called stomata, singular stoma. Each stoma consists of a pore broadened by a pair of guard cells. The pore of the guard cells gets open to permit the exchange of gases and it gets closed to prevent the loss of water. Respiration by roots. The outer wall of the root is covered with many outgrowths called root hair. These root hair increase the area of the root and provide a moist surface for the gas exchange. The dissolved oxygen enters the root hair cells and passes to the other cells of the root. At the same time, carbon dioxide comes from the cells of the root through the root hair into the soil. The rate of respiration in roots is relatively low. Respiration by lenticels. The stem of a plant, whether it is the flexible stem of a tulip or grass or the thick woody bark of a big tree, have small pores. On woody stems, you can often see the small white pores called lenticels. These pores provide openings into the tissue of the stem for the entry of air. Lenticels are also present on fruits, tubers, etc. that help in gas exchange. You can see small brown dots on the skin of an apple or a potato. These are lenticels. In this way, each part of the plant takes care of its own gas